axe here. I've been working on it, just kind of chipping away. This is a council tool, Michigan double bit. And what I'm doing now, after I got the handle all squared away or octagoned away, I hit it with steel wool, went over it real nice, soften up those edges. It swings beautifully now. It is really, really comfortable. I'm happy with the way that the octagon feels. I can't really notice, I don't notice a hard ridge anymore when I'm on the swing. So I think I'm pretty happy with the handle. Next thing I want to do is touch up the edge. Now, these have from the factory kind of a quick grind. You know, this would really be the way that you would buy an axe 100 years ago, unless you paid for the extra finish, because you could do that. You'd get an axe. They give you a rough grind. You know, you take it from there. I'm not going to do much to we'll call it maybe the hard work part of the axe, but I am going to remove that burr. And then I'm pretty much going to leave it alone. She's going to sit at maybe 25 degrees. Oh, actually, this side's a little more, at 27 and a half. So we're 27 and a half on one side. The other side is just a smidge under 25. This is going to be my forest axe, I'll call it. Rather, my national forest axe. See, I live about maybe an hour south of the Shikomegan-Nicolet National Forest, and you can get a firewood permit that allows you to go and grab anything that's dead and down, harvest it, and bring it to your home. And so my goal for 2026 is to go out and grab some firewood. I want to do a couple cord of firewood. It's a neat program. The National Forest is one of the last great institutions that we have. The National Forest is about the only thing that you can experience in this country anymore for free. And I mean literally for free. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to get a permit. You don't have to pay a fee. You don't need a subscription. You can go out and camp in the National Forest anytime you want for free. You don't need a reservation, nothing. The National Forest is, hey, Leah and Dev Cambo, what's up, guys? City, no? You need a massive forehead. Well, you know, my forehead gets bigger or smaller depending on where I put my hat. It hides my massive brain, doesn't it? That's funny. So the National Forest is about the last place in the U.S. that you can get, that you can just go out and have some fun. So I'm gonna grab one of those firewood permits, and we're gonna get some wood. We're gonna have some fun. So I said I wasn't gonna touch it after this, but I think I am gonna just kind of polish up that bit. I think half the reason the old guys like these double bits is because you could sharpen them so easy. You know, you just throw them in a stump and then you're off. I think that might be a record. Who's that? Punjab. You know, that's one of the interesting things about these lives is you can get people literally from all over the world. I mean, it's wild. If you would have told me 20 years ago that I could be talking with somebody from, well, Punjab, isn't that parts of India and Pakistan, isn't it? Although I tell you what, if you talk to somebody from that region, I think they would say you need to be a lot more specific than that, depending on who you are. because I don't think they like one another much. But anyways, we're talking about we're talking about double bits. And I tell you what, we are going to, there we go. All right. Hey, YouTube's great. We got a block button. We got a timeout button. We got a snooze button. Power to the people. So we're just gonna keep that rolling. Congrats, you are in YouTube jail, Ninja. Where are you from? I'm from the Northern Plains of South Dakota, but right now I'm in Wisconsin. I am in northern Wisconsin. Some people would say that I'm in pretty far north Wisconsin, but I don't know. It gets a lot further north than me. I don't think I'm that far north. I'm right along the shores of the Fox River. India, nice, very cool. Tell you what, if I'm not having a cheeseburger, Indian food's my favorite. We got a great Indian restaurant in town. So the other thing I kind of borrowed from the old guys is kerosene. Kerosene's amazing. It's a heck of a lot cheaper than any kind of oil or solvent that you can get. And I feel like honing oil is a scam. It really is, because it's all petrochemical based. You know, they're really not doing anything to make it honing oil other than increasing the price. And kerosene does the same job anyways. So we're doing a radial grind here. Also, kerosene, it's cheap. You know, you can get it anywhere. At least anywhere if you're a little bit in the country. Wow, we got people from all over the place. How's it going, everybody? So I don't know. Let's see. In India, what kind of axes do you use? Do you use axes? I wonder about that sometimes, because India is a huge country. Huge. So I imagine there are parts of it that you might want an axe and other parts where you might not need it. So we're just doing a radial grind here. I'm shooting for something like 25 degrees or so. Nice. I'm Batman too. At least after a couple beers in my garage, I'm Batman. Nice. So, all right. I think we've got a reasonable grind down there. What I might do, you know, if you use kerosene, throw a magnet in the bottom, especially if you do it. Oop, we spilled there. Especially if you kind of dunk your stuff in it, because it'll collect the metal shavings. We're going to sharpen this right up. Give her a nice polish. You know, and that's kind of the other thing too. When I do stuff on my regular channel, I get people that are into axes. Like they're axe people. And so they're kind of into what I'm doing. When I turn on the live, you get people from all over the place. They might not care about what you're doing. You know? So it's kind of neat interacting with a different group of people. This is a 1065 axe. It's 1060 carbon steel axe. I don't know where I got the 5 from. It's from a company called Council Tool. They have been making axes in Lake Waccamaw, North Carolina for like 120 years. So that's what we're doing here. Yep, and we're putting an edge on the axe. This is going to be my user. Now, you guys might think this is interesting. Natural sharpening stones. They're different all over the world. This one comes from Belgium. So we're going to go ahead, I think, and put a little micro bevel on the edge. So I said at one point that this stone had, it was a Belgian blue, and then the other side is a yellow cauticule. And somebody corrected me, but I can't remember what it was instead of a Belgian blue. Yeah, 1060 is great. 1075 is great. For 1060, I think there are some benefits to having a little bit less carbon in an axe, because you want a very durable edge. You want something that's going to stay sharp enough, but at the same time, you know, when you increase the carbon, you kind of increase the hardness, and then the fragility comes in after there. So I think 1060 is awesome for an axe. You know, I have a 1080 carbon steel axe. Hey, from Switzerland. You know, Switzerland's on my bucket list. I read a book about Swiss mountain culture once, and it blew me away. Blew me away. It's Switzerland is incredible. The Swiss style of timber framing is, I think, one of the finest in the world. And then when you're building in Switzerland, you're not just going down into the forest to cut a tree and then building right next to your forest. That's what we did in the States. If you harvested a bunch of trees, you were building right next to them. In Switzerland, they cut these trees down, brought them up a mountain, and that's where they built. So, I mean, it's like everything's on hard mode. So northern British Columbia, nice. Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, we're gonna go up there at some point. Now I got to switch sides, but I might kind of be in a different position. British Columbia, you know, that's actually not too far from where I am. And I'll tell you what, I think Wisconsin and Canada are very similar. I meet a Canadian, it's like talking to my neighbor. I mean, it really is. There's a lot of similarities between Wisconsin, Michigan, and particularly the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which really should be Wisconsin. In Basel, oh wow, nice. Oh, Nevada, Arizona, and Utah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm from South Dakota, and we have the western part of South Dakota is basically the Wild West. You know, that's where Deadwood is. If you've seen that movie, Deadwood, that's where that comes from. Ooh. Wow. I'm liking that edge. I really, really am. You know, this is an amazing stone. It comes from a part of Belgium that is now protected. So you can't really get you can still get these stones, but the areas where you can get them from are less and less every year. Toronto, Canada. Yeah, Canada's cool. Canada is, I tell you what, man, I got to go to Canada. I've never been, but the fishing and the hunting from everything I've heard is amazing. Sturgis, yes. I've been to Sturgis a number of times. I used to live in Rapid City, which is just down the road from Sturgis. And my parents actually have a cabin that is in Hill City. So if you look up Hill City, do I create axes for my living? Not the whole thing. I couldn't do this. I mean, if I had to just drop everything else and support myself on axes, I couldn't do it. But I tell you what, one day I'd like to. What I really want to do is get into timber framing, because there's, you know, axes are kind of axes are not really something that you can transfer out of this space into another one, and that's kind of where the money comes in. You got to add value outside of your circle, and you know, the axe world is amazing, and I think there is money in it, but it's very saturated. It's very saturated. There are so many guys that are out there selling axes, restoring axes. I don't know how they make a living doing it unless you are a high volume retailer. So now we're going to use this yellow cauticule. A German friend of mine relocated to Saskatchewan in Canada. She fell in love with a cowboy. Yep. A carving profile does a lot for carpentry. Yes, it does. Yeah, it really does. And I'll tell you about a carving profile. This is kind of my bench axe here. This is an axe that I had custom made by a blacksmith in Maine. And I tell you what, this is my pride and joy. It really is. I made the handle, but he made the axe head, and it's incredible. I mean, it really is. I've been meaning to polish up the handle just a little bit. You know what I think is so interesting about this axe head? I could talk about this axe head for hours. But what I think is so interesting about it is you look at that. You look at that dish there. You look at that space between the ruler. So what that allows you to do is carve straight with no breakout. So if you're carving, say, like a piece of cherry or something, basically what that allows you to do is start at the heel. They call this the heel in English, and work your way up to the toe. And that incorporates the little bit of cupping on this axe head that prevents tear out. So you could carve with this all day with very minimal tear out. It's excellent. So that's a tradition that we have really lost with axes. As people stopped using axes, they stopped paying attention to the things that make these tools so functional. And that kind of cupping is 5160 spring steel. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I have a couple axes made out of 5160. I'll show you one of them. So this is a Council Tool Camp Carver. And you know what? Thanks for bringing that up, because as I picked it up, she needs a little bit of love. These axes are wonderful. Wonderful. I love this one in particular. Council Tool makes some axes that are really affordable and really high quality. I mean, they are. 5160 I've found is excellent, and this axe comes in a 22-inch handle or 19. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what the length is, but it's 19 to 22. And look at this nice beard here. That's excellent. The other thing a good carving axe has is a toe that's fairly straight and pointed. So you can really aim your bit. Let's see. Are you able to shave wood by dragging wood across your carving? Oh yeah, exactly. A carving axe should be really, really sharp. We've lost so much to do with industry. It's a shame. Well, yep, exactly. Once used, it's forgotten. Exactly, I know. And that's part of why I do this YouTube channel. Because I tell you what, once this stuff is gone, it really is gone. Who's gonna bring it back? And it's not something that I think AI is going to help preserve. I mean, what do they care about? Self-sufficiency. Arguably, they want you to be as dependent as possible. What's up, Daniel? I'm great. How are you, man? Oh, Max, awesome, dude. Thanks for subscribing. Greetings from a Greenwood spoon carver in Atlanta? No way. You don't have to tell me where you are in Atlanta, but I just moved from Atlanta to Wisconsin. That's incredible. Really is. I'm missing Atlanta right now. Atlanta had some quirks for me. We moved there for my wife's work, and we were there for 5 years. I lived just on, I lived basically in between 3 counties, kind of. Like, I could be to downtown Atlanta, probably a little faster than I wanted to be. But then I could also get out of Atlanta and up to North Georgia, just like that. I loved it. I'm one of my favorite camping spots up there in the North Georgia mountains. I miss it so much. The water was so clean. It was quiet. The trails were amazing. I think the mountains of North Georgia, they are one of the most special places in the world. I mean, you could find, it was like a Disney movie. You could find salamanders, turtles, trout in the streams. Unbelievable. Just a really special place. All right. So next what we're gonna do. So I feel like I'm missing out on some comments. So if I didn't see them and I've moved on, just post them again. Following from the UK. Oh man. Yeah. Oh, appreciate it. Jimmy Brown. Awesome, dude. You know, UK is also on my bucket list if they'll let me in. So I don't know. I'd love to visit the UK. I have a really strong interest in British history. I mean, really. I think Britain really, absolutely the most consequential country in the world in historical terms. And if you think about what has happened because Britain became a country and the way it became a country, William the Conqueror coming over, world history absolutely hinges on that specific moment when, you had Harold Hardrada coming from the north and William the Conqueror coming from France. Incredible. Harold Godwinson trying to hold his own in England. He had to fight two armies at once. So, incredible. A tomahawk made out of 5160. Oh, no. Yep, Shuriken. I did live in Atlanta for 5 years. I just moved to Wisconsin in July, or maybe it was August. I can't remember. What are we doing? We're sharpening an axe. And I'm using a bunch of cool stuff. I got a translucent Arkansas stone here. These are pretty cool. What's up, Duncan?
Spider.
Oh, you got a spider in there, huh? Just watch out for that cord down there.
Daddy. It's alive.
It's alive?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Doesn't seem like it is, but it's...
Well, he probably doesn't want to go outside, I don't think. Spiders don't do well in the cold like that.
Daddy, what is this stuff outside the door?
Oh, just melted snow. So we got a translucent Arkansas stone. Do I use diamond stones too? Yes. Yes, I do. I have a couple of them here. These are what I really use for axes. I got a 400 grit, a 600 grit. But I like my Arkansas stones too. I love my Arkansas stones. So we've got, yep, absolutely. Diamond stones are fast. They're too fast to ignore, really. Hey, Duncan, can you, if you're going to hammer, go do it out in the yard, okay? Duncan, look at me. Out in the yard if you're going to hammer, okay?
But I'm going in with these out.
Nope, we're not going to do that now, though, okay? Okay. Yeah, William the Conqueror is my great-grandfather of direct descent. That's cool. That is amazing. Wow. Did I ever make it up to the Scottish Tartans Museum in Franklin? Oh, no, I didn't. There's a whole lot in North Carolina that I didn't get to do. I got to go to North Carolina just a couple of times. And those Smoky Mountains, oh my goodness. I mean, that's, if there was ever a place that I would leave Wisconsin and go to, it would be the Smoky Mountains. They are just unbelievable, unbelievable. Are you a Green Bay fan or Falcons? Yeah, I gotta say Green Bay. You know, I never really got into the Atlanta sports scene. I had really young kids, and we moved there during the pandemic, and so I couldn't really get out and do anything for a long time, and so I didn't do the sports thing in Atlanta much. Let's see. Our borders are very open right now, so no problems getting in. Well, you know, kind of what I've heard is they're only open for some people. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. See, I'm almost kind of a little bit careful talking to somebody from England because you never know how they, what side of that issue they come out on. You know, maybe they're happy the borders are really open, and they're like, what are you crazy? You know, like you're one of those nutcases that, anyways, I shouldn't go. I'm not helping my English visa application right now, am I? All right, so here's a black Arkansas stone. This is a surgical black Arkansas stone. One of the finest sharpening stones ever made. And if we want more of them, we're going to have to wait another 1,000,000 years. because it is so incredibly fine and it takes forever for them to be made. I honestly don't know if the geological processes that made these black Arkansas stones are going to happen again. These come from the Ouachita Mountains. And, oh, shame the kicker missed all his attempts. Oh, I know. That was just horrible, wasn't it? Well, I tell you what, it's like this season for the Green Bay Packers started out, everybody was talking about how this is the best team in decades and the Packers are going to win it all. And wow, look at the Jordan Love and everybody else. And then the team just like fell apart. It didn't take too long for them to start dropping games. And I mean, they lost to the Browns. It's like, really? You know? Yeah, oh, you go a few times a year? Yep, up into the Smokies. Yep, the Smokies are absolutely incredible. All right, so I'll show you what I'm working on. Now, after you put an edge onto an axe like this, one thing that I like to do is kind of draw out that burr. And it helps, you know, this is maybe called like turning the burr. Turn the burr. You can get a more durable edge this way, and you can actually feel that burr turning on your stone. One of the things that makes carbon steel so special is the burr is really nice to get rid of. On these super steels, they call them, these newer steels, the burr is impossible to get off of the edge, and that means you'll never have a sharp or durable edge. But carbon steel behaves really nicely. So I'm also kind of putting a little bit of a micro bevel on this. Where can I get a good axe? Oh, nice. Okay. Well, it depends on what you're trying to do with it. Check out Council Tool. If you want a great axe, good quality axe, that's a little bit easier on your budget. You can get a whole bunch of awesome axes from Council Tool. Look at their sport utility line. You can, of course, go to Sweden. Sweden makes some of the finest axes in the world. They have wonderful axes. You can get a whole bunch of kind of bushcraft, camping, hiking, geared axes. But then it's different. Are you splitting wood? Are you carving wood? Grand's Fours, if you kind of want the axe that's positioned themselves as like the Cadillac of axes, Grand's Fours is sort of the one there. You're doing that wrong. Well, I mean, it always works for me, Dave James. But I've only got one first name, so what do I know? I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to start. I'm not trying to start a fight. Do not be carrying a sharp object without a helmet, sir. I know. Exactly. Yeah, so check it out. Oh, that's right. That's what I wanted to show you. FE6 isn't a splitting axe, but works great for splitting. Yep. I've been saying that for years. And I tell you what, the internet is finally catching up to that. I think I've got a safety beanie and my safety squints on. Exactly. So, and I tell you what, I don't know, you guys, like I'm a millennial, right? I'm turning 36 this year. I think I grew up in the last era where men kind of were just like unapologetically men. You know, like I worked with a lot of boomers, a lot of Vietnam vets, even some of the last World War II generation. They didn't care. I mean, they wanted to get the job done, and they wanted to get the job done right. That was it. And, you know, maybe to a fault, they didn't focus on safety issues. But in my very formative years as a young man, I started working with a lot of those guys. And, you know, I take the attitude of, I want to get the job done. I want to get it done right. And, you know, I think I'm being more conscious about health and safety and whatnot. But when I'm working, I am not trying, you know, I don't know. You guys kind of know there's a balance there. I'm 33, so hello. Hey, man. What's up? Miroslav. So, Miroslav, where are you from? So, we're getting this axe all polished up. these double bits, I don't know if double bits were ever as popular in other parts of the world as they are in the United States, but probably in the US, double bits have dropped more trees than any other axe, any other kind of axe. And it's because of logging. And then afterwards, they were so versatile that if you wanted to go homestead, you had a double bit because it could do everything. Otherwise, you'd need to carry 2 axes. And maybe if you're in a wagon and you're bringing all your stuff across the Oregon Trail or something, you really wanted less weight. This is the Council Tool Michigan double bit. And this one has the bevels on it. You know what these bevels do? It's kind of interesting. When your axe goes into the wood, these bevels allow there to be space on either side of the middle of your bit. And so if it goes in really deep, you can lever it out. And there's space for the bit to go because of these bevels. That's the theory anyways. Now those have an intentional bevel, but you can create the same effect by thinning out the heel and the toe. The heel of the axe and the toe of the axe when you sharpen or when you file. You don't want to thin it out too much because the heel and the toe really shouldn't be overly thin. But you can do kind of the same thing just by filing if your axe doesn't have forged bevels. The other thing people used to do back in the day that they don't do so much anymore, check this out. So this is a Tasmanian pattern axe. I got this from a friend of mine in, where is he? He's in Oregon or Washington. I can't remember where. So this is from Australia, these Tasmanian axes. They're made to fell enormous gum trees, just absolutely enormous trees. And because of that, they're very heavy and they're very wide and they have, look at that. I don't know if you can see this as well. Look at that. That's called a high center line. So the further back you get, the more pronounced it is. Look at this. Look at how I can rock that straight edge on the bit. So what that means is the middle is creating a gap. It's wider, so it creates a gap when you chop so that there's space on either end of the bit to wiggle it out so it doesn't get stuck in a tree. I'm 41 and been working with sharp things since I was 4. Woodworking and martial arts. I'm covered in scars. Oh yeah, tell you what, I know exactly what you mean. You know, I don't know what, I think when kids started working with sharp things, life was a little bit simpler. It was a little bit better. And then kids learned responsibility and how to be safe easier. You know, I really do. I started my kids splitting wood at about 6 years old. At about 6 years old. You know, and it was so funny. I tried to get the boys in scouts. They don't call it Boy Scouts anymore. And when we showed up, they were telling all my kids about how, if you get this badge, maybe next year you can carve with a knife, a real knife, or maybe you can do this or do that. And we left thinking my kids have been doing everything that they might get to do in several years right now. And I kind of thought to myself, I don't know if I want to tell all these kids that I got 6-year-olds running around with axes in my backyard because they all knew how to split wood. You know, they all knew how to do these things. And I kind of got the feeling that maybe, you know, maybe I'd be in trouble. Love the double bit for splitting. Interesting, you know, you say that. Raise the line, man. I tell you what, I have a story about that. There is a guy, I'm trying to remember his name. He is from Missouri, but he popularized the flick. Gosh, what was his name? I can't remember, but look up the Buster axe. He's out of Missouri. And I do throw axes. Yep. No, I've never heard of Cannonay Creative. What does she do? And then there's a comment not in English, so I don't know what that one says. But anyway, so this guy, his whole thing was, I'm going to split wood with an axe faster than a wood splitter. And he took a double bit, and what he would do is he would take the thinner end and he just cut it off. And so he took, and it'd have to be a thicker double bit, but he'd cut the bit off and then shape the opposite end of the axe so that when you'd split, the axe would naturally turn. And that's the flick. You know, Buck and Billy Ray does the flick. He's done that for years. And he's really revived it. He really brought it back. All the credit to Buck and Billy Ray. So you come down, and then just as you hit the wood, you turn. And that sends the wedge off the round to the side. Yeah, we had a real childhood. We learned the necessity for safety the hard way, and we were better off for it. And I tell you what, you know, you knew you grew up in the 90s when your parents actually kind of encouraged you to go out and get a little bit hurt. Not too much, but like a little bit. It'd be like, hey, go lick that battery. Yeah, okay, now you know electricity. Don't mess with it, you know? Or like, you know, hey, don't climb too far out on that limb, but, you know, if you do, it's going to crack. And then they just let you do it. And you'd fall a couple feet, you'd get real scared, and then you'd learn your lesson. I mean, there's a real benefit to supervised natural consequences. I mean, exactly. Oh, your grandfather does the flick? You're from Missouri? I wonder if he learned it from this guy. I wonder if he even knew him. Because he died, I think, in the 80s or 90s. Yep, we were better off for it. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Well, I tell you what, I'm familiar with that. Interesting. I'm not Canadian. I'm from Wisconsin. So, I mean, we're like American Canadians. You know, we got the same climate pretty much. We do a lot of the same stuff. The economy works the same way. I feel like the attitude of a lot of Canadians a little bit further to the north of me is very similar to Wisconsin, Michigan too. What's up? What is that? Nice. Hakan, what's up, man? Must be the Missouri. Yep, exactly. They do all that in, well, if I rotate my phone, then it's going to be off kilter for YouTube. So I think I'm going to leave it vertical. You want to see my garage? Here's what I got going on. There's nothing special. I got a pretty typical garage for Wisconsin. I've got a 4.5-pound 1920 Plum, Michigan. Ooh, 4.5 pound. That's heavy. Restoring. Wow. Oh yeah. Well, for 4.5 pound on a double bit, you could do 30. I think I'd do 32 on a 4.5. I'd want a 32. Yep. And still remember the tail end of the 80s. Okay, so you're a little bit older than I am. Even more so. Come home with the streetlights on. Yep. Exactly. I tell you what. Yeah, I tell you what, I've got a lot of equipment, and I build things with hand tools. So I've got just within arm's reach. There was an English guy on earlier. If he's still on, these English style hammers are my favorite. They're the best hammers ever made. I love the style of them. I love the shape of them, but they're hard to find in my area. I've got two of them right here. What makes these different is I think it's the balance, and it's the round shank on the front end. These are Ad's Eye hammers. So I just got those. Those are some of my newer tools, and then I got everything. I got everything you could ever want for building stuff with hand tools here. My grandpa passed in 2007, but he swear he could split faster than them all. Yeah, exactly. You know, and if you haven't heard of Buck and Billy Ray, he's in Canada. I think he's on the very southwestern end of Canada. I can't remember exactly where he's at, but very close to the Pacific Northwest in the States. But he has really brought back wood splitting with an axe. It used to be, I feel like people thought the heavier the splitting maul, the better it was. But really, it's a maul that's too heavy doesn't do you any good. You can split longer and faster and better with a lighter axe. How's my 070 doing? My 070 died. It was a clone 070, and it lasted not as long as I wanted it to. But I'd love to get an 070. Oh, Shuriken, awesome, man. Well, I hope to see you around again. Maybe next time I'm in Atlanta, we can grab a beer. Yeah, those are, you know, Steel still makes the 070. Huge saw. They make it especially for countries that don't have really strict emission regulations because it's a great saw. It's so durable. It is something that you can fix. You can fix it with nothing. You see these guys in the rainforest, and you know what's it is kind of horrible what they're doing down there. I wish they'd stop. But the 070 is a great saw. But they'll rebuild the whole thing in the woods with like a wrench. Yeah, that's it. That's all you need to rebuild those saws. Oh, hey Brian, how you doing, man? Man, it's good to see you. I've had a lot of people on this live that, you know, they don't do axes, they don't do wood splitting. So it's good to see. If you guys don't know Brian Two Bears, check out his channel and subscribe to that, and you will see some real, I mean, if you want to know how the guys split wood back in the day with these axes, I mean, you got to go to Brian Two Bears channel. He does more and better than, you know, anybody that I know. I mean, it's incredible. So check out Brian Two Bears. How's that maple coming? Are you through it now, or just get in there? He dropped a maple with an axe, bucked it into sections with an axe, and is then now splitting it with an axe. It's unbelievable. I used a clone crankcase with steel internals when I built mine. So, yep, and I think that's what you got to do. If somebody can have a lot of fun with chainsaw clones if they really know what they're doing. There's never been a better time to be into chainsaws than today. I mean, I believe that. With getting parts and how easy they are to get and how cheap they are. My goodness, I mean, you can really have some fun with chainsaws these days. But I would love to get a hold of one of the old 070s or 090s. Well, not the old ones, a new one that Steel makes. But you got to go to specific countries to buy them, so it's really hard. Really hard. Hard to find them. And if you want to buy a used one in the States here, oh my goodness, they are very, very expensive. So we're just going to strap this a little bit. Woohoo! Let's see. An 090. Yep, those gear drive saws. There's no torque. There's no torque like those old 090s and 070s. They're great for milling because they are so dang heavy. Adding that extra weight. And then, of course, all that torque is just enormously beneficial. So we're just getting this all polished up here. How's the snow across the lake been? Oh, yep. It's been constant, but I don't feel like we've gotten a lot of snow, which is kind of frustrating because my kids got some snowshoes for Christmas, and I've been just looking so forward to having a couple foot of snow on the ground. And then I want to go out and do some ice fishing. I want to do some pike spearing, and I want to do some ice fishing. But the ice just has not been thick enough here. And then, the trouble is I gotta drive a little further north for the good fishing because I'm too deep into farm country. We get a lot of runoff, and it's kind of a bummer. We get a lot of nitrates and just stuff that's not great in the water, and it's not the fish are there, but I like to eat the fish I catch, and I don't want to eat what comes out of the river that's next to me. So I want to go a little further north. Don't know much about chainsaws. Well, I tell you what, there's a couple guys that have been commenting on here that I'd tell you something about chainsaws. Brian Two Bears that was on here too. In addition to axes, he's taught me a ton about chainsaws. I mean, unbelievable. A real chainsaw pro. So he'll tell you everything you need to know. So I think I'm at about 20. Oh, let's see. We're not quite to 22 and a half. I'd say we're maybe 23 degrees on this axe. And my purpose in building this one here is to go out and I want to get a firewood permit, they call it, for the national forests. In most national forests, you can get a firewood permit. And then you can't really cut timber, but you can harvest it if it's already down and bring it out. So I want to go get a truckload of wood from the national forest, and I want to do it the old school way with a buck saw and an axe. That's something I've wanted to do for years. Yeah, lakes aren't thick enough with ice yet either. Yep, exactly. You know, and actually, back in South Dakota, that's my home state where I grew up. They've had ice shacks dropping through. So they're actually telling people, get your shacks off the ice. Yep. Mr. Young Thug. Yep. Tell you what, and Mr. Young Thug, I don't know if you're named that because of the rapper, but he's out of Atlanta, isn't he? I used to live in Atlanta, and there was another guy on here that is, I think, currently in Atlanta. So it's interesting that you'd bring that up. So anyways, here we go. She's coming along. You know, this is a new axe from Council Tool. And the one thing that I'm not crazy about that they do is when they put their initial grind in, they do it with a contact wheel, and that gives you a hollow. So it'll be a couple sharpenings before I get rid of this hollow. But it's okay. It's small enough it's not going to prevent anything. Been in South Dakota your whole life? Oh, yeah, I grew up closer to Brandon. But, yep, that's where I spent a lot of time. A lot of time spent in Sioux Falls, too. I used to live there, actually. Council Tool is underrated, you feel. Yep. Oh, 26 below right now. Where are you at? In South Dakota? Is it 26 below? Oh, my gosh. That's a lot colder. I was in South Dakota over Christmas, actually. And it was Rapid City. Nice. I lived in Rapid City for a summer. I love Rapid City. My parents have a place out in Hill City, too. Nope, that's me. I think that's a girl, too, Jason. Nope, I'm not. In fact, actually, let me see here. I am getting real used to these Instagram. Let's see, there we go. Or not Instagram, YouTube. There we go. Boom. We could put you in YouTube jail real quick. I still do. Still work for the CIA. We're real active these days. That's what we do. I got a lot of fun stuff going on. So just stay tuned to your mainstream media outlet. So anyways, all right, I wanted to hop on here talking about this Council Tool Double Bit Michigan. Well, thank you, Sarah. I think I'm going to sign off here. I got as far as I wanted to go. You know, you look at that. One thing I might do yet is polish away these grinder marks here. So anyways, Brian, if you're still there, man, it's good to hear from you. I hope all is well. I've sure been enjoying all the chopping on your channel. So, all right, guys, I'm going to sign off.